let's start with the downing of this US military jet and the missing airman. What's the significance of it in Iran as the US and Iran continue to search for him?
It's extremely important because it's so important that Iranian state TV, the anchor, said that urge civilians to go and look for the U.S. airman, and they're offering a prize of, I think, £50,000 if anybody can find him. But if they manage to find him alive, that is going to be a huge prize for the Iranian regime, because they're definitely going to use it as a propaganda tool. They're going to show that, let's not forget that one time many years ago, they downed a US drone and they put it in a kind of exhibition, taking the school kids there, singing next to it. So they were using it for years. And now if they can manage to arrest a US airman inside the country, that is going to be also a bargaining chip for Iran. Apart from the Strait of Hormuz, they're going to use it at a negotiating table to force Donald Trump to halt this war, or as they call it, the Israeli-American aggression. That is going to be a huge leverage for Iranians, definitely.
And what's the latest, what's happening inside Iran with the US and Israeli strikes? Because we understand in the past few hours a petrochemical plant has been hit, and also the IAEA warning also about a strike near the Bushehr nuclear plant.
Exactly. So there are 6 different petrochemical sites that have been targeted in the past few hours. Nobody has been killed there, but this is the heart of Iran's petrochemical production, and also it's within the Khuzestan oil-rich province. This is the heart of Iran's oil and gas production and also export. So that is going to Iran's main revenue is coming from. So if those places are targeted, that shows that we are in the second phase of the war, and that is the war of infrastructures, that Iranian infrastructures are getting targeted. And that can be extremely dangerous and that can change the way that Iranians perceive this war. Because at the beginning of the war, we said it a lot, that there are some Iranians who support this war, because it was happening after the nationwide protests where thousands of protesters were killed. But when these infrastructures are being targeted, many workers, simple Iranians, they're working in these infrastructures, and that can have an impact on their day-to-day life. So the mood of the people and how they perceive this war can change a lot after such infrastructures are being targeted. And yesterday, there was this bridge was also targeted in Karaj near Tehran.
What do we understand, Parham? And I know it's really hard to get accurate information outside of Iran. What's happening internally with the regime? Are there any cracks appearing, do we know?
Not at all. Not that we see it. Actually, it's the other way around. So before the war, yes, there were brutal crackdown of the protesters, but what we see right now is the regime is becoming more and more radical. Today, 2 people were hanged in Iran. Yesterday, we had another protester who was hanged in Iran. So day by day, we hear the news of executions in Iran. And apart from that, we see the supporters of the regime on the streets everywhere, checkpoints, enforcing, and controlling people. There's no internet in the country. So if the war ends, will things go back to normal? We don't know that yet. But one of the important things is that Donald Trump said that help is on the way to support Iranian protesters so they can achieve what they wanted. However, what we see right now is the objective has changed from freeing Iranian people to opening up the Strait of Hormuz, the strait that was already open before this war took place.
OK, Parham, stay with us. I just want to bring our viewers a couple of new lines just coming into us on this story via the Reuters news agency, which is reporting that Iran's foreign minister has said what we care about are terms of conclusive and a lasting end to the illegal war that is imposed on us. And also this other line from the Iranian foreign minister: we have never refused to go to Islamabad for mediation talks. Some other lines coming in around the Strait of Hormuz saying that Iran has authorized the passage of vessels carrying essential goods to its ports through the Strait of Hormuz, according to a letter cited by Iran's Tasnim news agency. The letter indicates that the ships heading to Iranian ports, including those currently in the Gulf of Oman must coordinate with authorities and comply with established protocols to transit the strait. So, Parham, let's just get your thoughts on both of those. We've got the shipping track of the Strait of Hormuz that we've talked about so much over the past 5 weeks. As you say, this has become the key issue, or certainly one of the key issues for President Trump, but also for Iran, that they have got the ability to close off this strait and only allow ships with oil in that they want to.
And they're planning to take some toll from those who want to transfer oil and any export that is taking place. So things from the Iranian perspective, things have worked very fine in their favor. Let me point out one thing about, you mentioned Bushehr, that is a nuclear plant, power plant in the southern part of Iran by that Persian Gulf. This is really important. This is not the first time it's being targeted. Areas around it have been targeted 4 times. 1 person was killed today. Now, the difference between this one and the significance of this one is that it has a radioactive material. It has, a reactor is inside there. So it's very different from Natanz Fordo that in the previous war, United States targeted them, because those places, they contained centrifuges for enrichment. But there's a reactor in here, and if this place is targeted directly, there is a huge risk of contamination beyond the borders of Iran, probably the entire region.
OK, Parham, thank you very much for taking us through all of that and those developments.